Hello. Think about the last time you regretted a relationship decision. I mean, really regretted a relationship decision. This kind of choice that felt good in the moment, but it led to months of heartbreak. Chances are the problem wasn't your partner's character. It was a fundamental misjudgment on your part. And that's because you treat dating like a casual hobby when it's actually the foundation of your entire adult life. But there's a deeper and a more dangerous trap. Why do so many smart, logical people ignore obvious red flags? Why is conflict resolution almost impossible once a relationship hits a certain point? The answer is simple, it's powerful, and it's quite physical. In the next few minutes, I'll be explaining why dating is a non-negotiable life necessity, but more importantly, I'm going to break down the incredible power of sexual intimacy and how it is designed to bypass your rational thought and how you can stop it from wrecking your long-term happiness. Now, why is dating necessary? Let's talk about the bigger picture, which is dating. Dating isn't just about butterflies, it's the foundational part of your social life. It's the training ground for cohabitation, effective communication, and finding your long-term partner. Since nearly everyone finds a partner and marriage is still a goal to many people, majority of people, dating is the essential mechanism we use to get there. It is a necessary prerequisite for the rest of your life, either you like it or not. Stop seeing dating as a casual pastime and start recognizing its inevitable and vital role in human experience. Dating should be part of the process and not the end. Now, sex. Why is sex important? We talk about dating a lot, but there's an integral part of what we always miss, which is sex. Let's consider the nature of ultimate emotional endpoint. Beyond simple dating and meeting people of opposite sex, the core driver often points towards sexual intimacy. Now, sexual connection offers an emotional depth that frequently transcends a purely physical experience. It provides a profound feeling of emotional connection that many people seek. A critical aspect of this climax and intense intimacy is what you feel during sex. It is universally true, even though some people might disagree, that climatic sexual experience is one of life's most potent pleasures. In an intense sexual experience, it shares similarities with other sources of intense immediate gratification, such as food. It can mirror the satisfying effect of your favorite food or the rush you get with addictive activities like gambling or drug use. Now, this feeling of immense pleasure is an undeniable and powerful truth of the human condition. The fundamental issue, however, lies in the common inability to differentiate this feeling of immense immediate pleasure from genuine sustained happiness. Now, this intense satisfaction frequently clouds the judgment of individuals navigating the dating pool. When pleasure is prioritized over true emotional alignment, it often skews relationship choices. It leads people to mistake a chemical high sexual content for long-term well-being. This phenomenon of confusing intense sexual gratification with true relationship happiness occurs far more than it should. Now, what is the role of sex? One essential ingredient in a relationship, apart from financial stability, is intimacy. Intimacy is primarily cultivated through the consistent investment of time with another person. As you share experiences and spend time together, an emotional bond naturally develops. This process deepens your understanding of one another and it moves you along the spectrum of connection. Now, this spectrum of connection usually begins with the initial stages of getting to know someone, especially when you're dating, and the end point, which almost obviously is sex. Sex is the ultimate physical expression or climax of intimacy, as it involves profound exchange of physical contact and mutual passion, and can establish a deep feeling of safety. Now, it is highly advantageous to be mindful and deliberate about the pace of this progression. Reaching maximum physical intimacy without prerequisite emotional depth and established trust can bypass crucial developmental stages in a relationship. Rushing this process may lead to premature or intense judgment and potential heartache later on, which my Nigerian people will call breakfast. So how does sex affect your decision? It takes a considerable amount of willpower and mental clarity to think logically when you are operating at a high level of sexual intimacy with a partner. This emotional complexity is precisely why conflict resolution becomes so challenging. I'm sure you know when couples fight is difficult, especially when people that are dating, it's very difficult to go in between them. When a conflict arises or when a partner exhibits behaviors often referred to as red flags, and these red flags are actually problematic, the presence of physical intimacy can easily override this objective reasoning. Now, this immediate relief and a sense of pleasure that follows sexual experience causes the unpleasant feeling associated with the conflict that happened earlier to quickly disappear. Now, you feel good in the moment, and as a result, you move too fast, essentially forgetting the serious issue that caused the emotional distress. There's not enough time for you to properly evaluate the severity of the conflict that was previously had or the true implication of your partner's action. Sexual experience can bypass rational thought. It is incredibly difficult for someone whose relationship is heavily bonded by physical intimacy to step outside of that feeling and reflect clearly on the issues in the relationship. When all decisions are filtered through that strong emotional and physical connection, it inevitably clouds your judgment. It makes it impossible to make good, rational decisions about long-term goal of the relationship you are in. It is just impossible for you to think clearly when emotions kick in. Now, how not to make sex cloud your judgment? And how not to make sex lead to unnecessary emotional complication, or rather a commitment decisions that you realize was unnecessary later on. I think this is where the concept of delayed gratification comes in. We know delayed gratification is commonly used when you are trying to achieve a goal. Instead of celebrating immediately, which is instant gratification, you ultimately delay the celebration. I think this idea is also very necessary once you are dating someone. It's wise to withhold sex for a while. Now, this isn't for everybody. Some people have matured over the years and their experience have taught them how to separate emotions from physical attraction. These are people who have mastered that emotional detachment so that no matter the sex they have, no matter the emotional involvement with someone, it doesn't cloud their judgment. But there are some people for whom emotional attachment and sex do cloud their judgment. So if you know you're in this category, it's better to withhold sex, because doing so allows you to observe the relationship for a couple of months. I think if you are spending time with someone for, let's say, 3 to 5 months, you will have a very good inclination, though not 100% certainty, but a very good inclination of who that person truly is. And if you can successfully do this, then it's easier to assess your partner, as sex and emotions hasn't clouded your judgment. Now, it is also necessary to know that sex is different for everyone. The key point is that it is crucial to understand the diverse ways people view sex. It is not a one-size-fits-all log, even though it is often heavily framed by religious and moral viewpoints. Now, from a religious standpoint, sex is something that should only occur within the confines of marriage, and many people will judge those who don't follow that doctrine. However, not everybody is religious, and even those who are may not strictly adhere to all the practice or rules of a religious setting. It is necessary to recognize that sex means different things to different people. For some, it's just fun. For some, it's vital for intimacy and a way to show love. Some people can completely disconnect sex from affection or love. Because of these differences, people often fall into the trap of easily judging others, especially those having sex outside of religious standards. However, we need to recognize that there is no universal blueprint for life. Your personal choices should be based on your own operating system, whether that's your religion, free thinking, family values, and your upbringing. No matter how strongly some people might condemn sex outside of their own definition, the reality is that people have different paths that leads to fulfilling life. If you choose to stick to a religion or moral belief system, that's fine. Just remain within that community of like-minded people. But if you choose to interact and engage with a diverse society, mixing with people whose beliefs, orientation, and practices differ from your own, then you have to understand the full detail of what sex means to different people. The main takeaway is that nothing in life is fixed or absolute. We don't have to live by one strict rule. You just need to understand the different perspectives people hold, respect that diversity while still maintaining yours. Now, in conclusion, let's wrap up the essential truth. First, you must stop treating dating like an optional casual activity. It is a necessary training ground for the rest of your life for effective communication, cohabitation, and choosing a life partner. You are actively building the foundation of your future happiness every time you put yourself out there. You must recognize the profound chemical power of sexual intimacy. The immense pleasure it offers is real, but if it is introduced too soon, sometimes it has the undeniable ability to cloud your rational judgment, making you mistake temporary high for true sustainable well-being. It turns intelligent adults into people who ignore major red flags just to maintain the immediate gratification of sex. The ultimate discipline in modern dating is understanding this spectrum of connection. It means consciously choosing a delayed gratification and prioritize emotional alignment and trust before physical intimacy reaches its climax. This isn't about rigid moral rules. It's about self-preservation and cleared-eye decision making. Know yourself. If you are one who struggles to think clearly when emotions and sex are involved, then withholding that intimacy for a few months is a sacrifice. It's your most powerful tool for assessing a partner more accurately. Your long-term happiness depends on the choices you make today. Treat dating as the serious journey that it is, and never let short-term pleasure override your long-term goals. The goal is not intense pleasure. The goal is lasting well-being. Then intense pleasure comes with it. Go out there, date deliberately and date wisely. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe and like, and also comment. Let me know your comments down below. Thank you. And also share if you find this interesting. Thank you. My name is Dare Adegbola, and I come in peace.